of angels, and she copies a little small excerpt of the message that says, "Unite yourselves every day with your guardian angels, because from now on they belong to my hosts." So she asks, weren't the guardian angels always from her hosts? But yes, but when she says that they belong to my hosts, this means that our guardian angels are getting included in her hosts because of the spiritual function that these hosts will have in the coming times. So although she always dealt with angels, archangels, and the hosts, now she is widening this work because of the planetary situation. This is what I think it means. And as a help for the rescue plane, as a reinforcement for that. The same message talks about the confederated armies of the Archangel Michael. So the work of Mary is getting wider because of the situation. And here one person is having difficulties because he has been invited. You have to tell about these subjects to those who want to listen to it. If someone doesn't want to listen to it, you don't talk about it. You go and talk to other people that are interested. So talking to those who want to listen, you tell what you need to say, and you don't worry about the result. But what you have to be worried about is to talk to people who doesn't want to listen to it, who have other interests. One person from the United States asks, during the recent visit of the Pope to the United States of America, a very positive reaction to his message was obtained, and the trend there has been to not underestimate the religious leaderships, and this was very surprising for that person in that country. We know that the Universal Mother is taking care in a very special way of subjects, of issues about the United States, and this is done in the inner levels of the nation and of the humanity, so that this may be causing some effect, because there is a work of reconciliation to be done in the United States. There is a work of reconciliation of the nation, of the country, of the American people, with many souls that are disincarnated and have been murdered in a very violent way. So there is this work of reorganization of the levels, and Mary is doing with so much love, and this is why you feel that a greater receptiveness is being presented, and this allows a closer presence of her in the United States. Another person asks about the establishment of an economical fund in the name of Saint Germain, And it seems that this was instituted in the 30s. Well, this kind of requests must be taken very carefully, especially monetary requests. We need to see what are the sources of this request and who are reminding this about the 30s, the request of the 30s. You have to be very careful when people ask things in the name of the hierarchy, and we need to see the integrity of the source of the request. And this is not difficult to evaluate because this the person radiates a very comprehensive energy. And another person asked, before the future and current happenings, what would be our attitude not to be in inertia and nor react without thinking. We have to maintain a stable rhythm of prayer. If you maintain this regular daily rhythm of prayer, you will have this balance in everything you do. You will notice also that this balance is gonna take form. And the same person asks, how to help other brothers and sisters to awaken, but not interfering in their free will. Well, the best way of helping one person without interfering is giving the example, living how you have to live. You give the example, and if someone wants to, he or she follows the example. So it's giving the example of honesty and promptness to help. Giving those examples, you will not interfere in anyone's free will. And here, the person asks many things and asks again about the spaceships, the UFOs, and are we right in thinking that the appearance of these UFOs have been intensified? Well, there are many spaceships, space vessels around the orbit of the Earth, because these space vessels help to maintain the balance of the planet on space, in the space. Without them, around the planet, the possible would lose its balance, especially regarding our actions in the nuclear experiments. And these spaceships not always appear to people, because in general they are not visible, but sometimes they allow us to see it or to see them, because for some people it's good to see them, because these are the demonstrations of something that is beyond our consciousness. There are many things in the universe beyond our so restrict consciousness. So these space vessels may make them visible. They have a very advanced telepathic work, and they may make themselves visible to those who need to see them, and they maintain themselves invisible to the majority of people, especially for those that deals with security, because there is so many misinformation about the presence of the space vessels on the planet. So this person is also asking if there is any relation between the presence of the space vessels and the transition of the Earth. Yes, there is this relation, and those people that see them, they may be being prepared for a greater or closer contact with them in the transition moment. those that will have to have a work with them, with the space vessels, are already being prepared. That's why some see them and the majority do not see them, because there was no comprehension when they started appearing to people. So some retreat happened regarding their intent, and the great majority of people, it's better not to be provoked by some things, because our more evolved brothers, they don't have any intention of shock us. They are there in function, in the name of harmony, in the name of the transition of the earth, of helping in those moments. So this is one thing that is under control, under a great control, and there is no risk of having a wrong action in this matter. How can we proceed when we see these objects or we have a possible contact with them? When there is a contact, you send to those vessels, to those space vessels, a greeting, a gratitude feeling towards them. So when you see them, you send a salute, a greeting to them, because they perceive everything that comes from us. So here a person was in a meeting, in a spiritual meeting, and there is a very organized spiritual meeting, a very positive meeting. In a certain moment, when some people others were in prayer, she saw that she was getting out from her body, and she went through a very interesting experience, because she realized that the subtle bodies went away from the physical body and stayed there for some moment that she cannot precise, and from outside she saw that the physical body continued to pray and doing the same work when the other bodies were there also in the body, in the physical body, and nobody around noticed that, because the body continued praying. And she's asking, how did it happen? And probably you are being trained for future services out of the body. But this is part of our training when we are out of the body and we are not producing any confusion, any purification here, any concern of people who are your kins or people from your group. So this was a training, and maybe you are being tried, tested, to see if in a more urgent situation you can work outside and your body may continue normally here without constituting any problem to anyone. So this is a training, and it is important for you not to think about it, because if a training happened and it succeeded, you have not to think about it, not to create some thought forms, useless thought forms, and be always offering yourself to the inner work, so that your bodies, if this is the case, may get out from the body, make some works in the space, and you continue having a normal life here. And here one person is asking, is saying that in some spiritual centers, they say that Brazil will be the homeland of the Gospels, and this person sees differently because he sees what happens in Brazil is generalized corruption and this scenario that we know. So the fact of this situation being in this way, this doesn't impede that the whole America, not only Brazil, the whole America will have a very important role in the formation of the new world. You should not confuse yourself that the whole America will have a very important role in the future with the almost generalized corruption situation because of current times, because Universal Mother is following this, and the whole hierarchy, the spiritual hierarchy, is very supportive of this process. So do not mix things of something that is prophesied to what is happening right now. So, and here one person says, this person feels this great need of keep praying and making inner works, but that he or she feels a great contrast between her life and what she or he aspires to do. Well, you may ask your soul, your monad, whether you have to maintain your profession, your work. Ask your monad, because if you're not having any problem with your profession, your work, but you are feeling that some things are not coherent with your inner aspirations, you may ask your monad if it has another intention to your life, and I suggest that you organize yourself to make a retreat, one retreat a month. And if someone is in this situation, the best thing that he or she can do is to experience some retreats, like weekend in a month. Some people some places receive people to retreats. As in Figueira, we also receive, and do it once a month, and you may feel that you may have answer for this uneasiness. In these very basic things in our lives, it's very important not to respond promptly to your mind. You silence your mind, and then after some retreats, you will see that the thing that you have to do will emerge, and you will have clearness about it. And we never do anything when we are in doubt, because while we are in doubt, we have to ask for guidance, for light to be clarified, and not acting during these doubts. So in doubt, we do not solve anything. You get into this retreat, make some silence with your inner self, silence with your mind, and then this doubt will disappear. And the same person is asking if it is normal to see lights, because sometimes she's praying and she feels the presence of lights, and she also sees the lights. So you take this as a very normal fact, and you don't have to fix your gaze in that with curiosity. You just stay natural before that. Because if this is a movement of your subtle bodies and not something that is a true contact, you don't get involved by that. You just acknowledge this presence, and this may disappear. Well, and this person says that he or she's been dreaming very often with the sea. So the sea may represent to you a notion of service. The sea may represent to you a great service that the planet needs. So you make your retreats and everything will get clearer to you. And this person is asking, why I never answer clearly if the person has to abandon everything and go to a safer place when to protect themselves from the weather or everything. The safest place for us is our own inner world, especially in the matter, in the subject of the planetary transition, because it doesn't serve anything to think about it, because the transition will be planetary, will happen in a planetary way, and everybody and everywhere will get involved with that. So the safest place is our own inner world, and from there guidance will appear. The safest place is there, especially for the upcoming times. A person says, in a lecture, I said that everything that comes from above is for the good, and how can he apply that in what is happening? What was said in the lecture is that the will of God, the will of creation, is always for the good. This is what I said. If something comes from above as a work of creation, this is for the good. Our concept of goodness is not the same of God. What is good for God may not be good for us. Everything that comes from above is for the good. Although we not always we acknowledge that as good, because there are many things that have to disappear, and for most people this disappearance would not be so good. It is us that may not comprehend what happens. Accepting what happens and what comes from above is always positive, is always thinking of the evolutionary way. What one person asks, what I could say to those artists that have some mediunic sensitivity and are not so well accepted in the environment they work. What I could say is, your situation may not be an artist. In general, when we don't have obstacles when we are in the correct path. And you have to ask yourself if your way is to be an artist. It is when we are out from our path is that things start to get difficult. But if your path is to be an artist, you will not lose anything with that. So the point is to ask if your path is to be an artist, is what you came to do in your life. One person is saying that his father participates in the work, and since he started to participate in the work, some imbalances in the family started. So the person is asking, what kind of work do we do if we generate some imbalances in people's families? We don't have any thing with any polemical thing with family. We have a goal of observe very much the archetype of the sacred family. What we say is that we have to observe that archetype, to observe what that means. But a sacred family as that one never got repeated by anyone in the Western civilization, but there may not be a second sacred family but the archetype is valid, and someone who gets concentrated on that archetype starts adjusting their own family with the archetype. And this will never happen as before, because there we had the Christ, we had the Universal Mother, and we had the Divine Messenger. But that for us is an archetype, is a goal, and each one will get to the point that it may reach. It's not that we undervalue the family, but we have this archetype of the sacred family, and we suggest to concentrate yourself with the sacred family archetype so that things start happening in your own being. But we are not imposing any concepts of family. We are not doing that. We are suggesting people to concentrate themselves on the archetype of the sacred family. And a large amount of time will pass by until we have some reflection on this sacred family. We don't know if this is going to happen in this world or in this world in another phase, because in this archetype there is this spiritual truth that we have, that we are all Christ's in potential. Christ said in the Gospels that we would do greater things than Him. And in some place He said also we are Christ's in potential. And He's showing what we can do and can be. And no wonder that someday a sacred family may be reproduced again in the civilization, in humanity, because, and this is not has nothing to do with family matters, family problems. So do not get affected by the process of your father, because everything adjusts them itself if everything is for good. One person says that she has two grandchildren, and how can she make them have consciousness of the current moment? If they see you serene and with calm, they may approach you and make some questions. between 8 and 2 years old, there is a great difference. So keep yourself very calm. Do not rush yourself, because if someone of them may have to listen something from you, they will approach. And when you answer a question to one of 8 or to one of 2, get attentive to answer in the correct amount. Ask yourself inside what you should answer to that being before answering. And this question of how you can form a community of light with them, you just get in touch with these communities of light, and then we'll have an idea, and maybe you may orient, you may help your grandchildren in this direction. So you come to Figueira alone by yourself, and then you will see what happens. Do not rush and do not. Real things happen in the real time, not in the calendar time. Real things happen in the eternal. So do not rush, because what is written will one day happen and come. You come here, visit, and make a retreat, and then you will see the matter of your grandchildren in a very different way. Know something. The responsible people of those of 2 or 8 years old are the parents, not the grandparents. It's not you that brought them into the world. Their parents did. So this may be an interference of yourself and not be helpful. Come here and you will see everything different. And one person is asking, what does Son of Man means? Son of Man. When we mention Christ Jesus, saying Son of Man is a form of, we used to say Son of God, but this is just used for Jesus. Just Jesus is called Son of Man, because between our way of being Son of God and the way of Jesus being Son of God, there is a great gap between it. So we are Son of God. Jesus is Son of Man. It's the same. It's a way of saying the same thing, but in a different amplitude. Do you understand? So here one person is very interested in this one series of CD that is called The Virtues and the Gifts, and she is looking for this series and she wants to work on it. Well, the gifts comes with us. We already are born with the gifts. These come with us. Things that were developed in other lives and became gifts. This is a quality that is already incorporated. Gifts are something that came from inside you, and the virtues are things that you are forming right now, you are accomplishing, you are cultivating. So maybe many lives that you may develop a virtue, in some moment this may become a gift in your soul. Gift is something that you have already acquired, and virtues are things that we deal right now. We deal with virtues, we deal with gifts. You can see that this is freely available in the internet, and you can study that, because I think this will be very useful for you, because there may be some virtues in you that are asking you to be developed in you, and maybe some gifts may inspire you also, and you may already have them. One person is saying that marriage, asking if marriage is something positive, if someone cannot maintain chastity physically or mentally, may marriage be looked for because of this reason. A true matrimony, you do not have to look for it. In a true matrimony, you just recognize and you live matrimony. No one looks for marriage. Someone who looks for marriage will find problem, because a true marriage, you don't have to look for it. It appears to you because it is written in your life. And when it is written, you recognize right away. You will have no doubt, and the other person will not have a doubt either, because this is a true matrimony. But, well, there may be some trials, some tests in this matrimony. But if the matrimony was written in your life, you do not have to look for it. You do not look a pair for us. You recognize your pair, you recognize your companion, your other half. Because in a true matrimony, you see the other as the other occult half of you. Because we always have a masculine half and a feminine half regarding the energy, and the true matrimony is the one that you see in the other, your other half, and you live with your other half. And if this is a harmonious life, you start internalizing that, and then you do not need an external matrimony, because someone else helped you to find this other half, and then you find the other half, and the inner matrimony is established, and the other becomes your brother, your sister. So the true matrimony ends in a true brotherhood. A true matrimony is never eternal. It's just for us to see in the other your other half, and then you unite yourself with the other, and then the other becomes your brother or sister. I don't know why I'm saying that so clearly, but maybe it's because that you have to know that. And so don't look for it, because you may ruin your life. Well, here one person says that when she starts talking about the inner subjects of her, that she always attracts some difficulties to people. Talking is silver, and shutting your mouth is of gold. If you shut yourself, it is of gold, and if you say something, it is of silver. So you start measuring these things, and she says that people look for her for talking, and then when she realizes she's talking about So to shut up is of gold, and to say is of silver. So take care of what you say. One person had a dream, a very interesting dream. She dreamt that a host was given to her in a shape of a heart. It was a white-colored host, and she heard a voice inside of her that said that she should take care of that child. And then she took this host, heart-shaped host, and then this host became a child. And she wants to know what this means. Well, when you took your host in your hands and towards your heart, and it became a child, this symbolizes the awakening of your inner self. You have to work with the communion as for developing your inner self, and a spiritual union will happen during the communion. So this child that appeared from the host is the awakening of your inner self that will start having a real spiritual path. Your spiritual side will emerge and put you in a correct, real spiritual path. So live life